Hello, it feels good to be back. Welcome to the Date Yourself podcast, episode 21. Short announcement, I'm going to take a little break after this one and then we'll go into a new season. So I'm having a vacation coming up and some life changes, and I know that I will probably not be able to make new episodes in that period. So I think it'll be a break of a month or so, but not too long. So don't worry, I'll be right back. But for now, we have a really juicy episode because I have been struggling with staying in my own energy for years and years and years. So maybe you are a highly sensitive person, maybe you are an empath, maybe you just love to understand people, help people, or not even that, you just easily pick up on other people's vibes, or you have a difficulty with letting other people carry their own ish. Same, but it gets better. So I want to give you all my tips and tricks on how to stay in your own energy, because you don't have to feel tired and confused all the time about what is your energy and what is the other person's. So this can show up in so many different ways. I call it energy because that is kind of the format that makes sense to me. I now know how to interpret energy. I can read energy as I'm a psychic, but I wasn't a psychic for like my whole life. I haven't explored that part of my intuition until I was 17. So everyone is a little psychic, and I didn't know that, but I found that out when I was 17, and I did a course about listening to your intuition. And I felt so at home doing that course because I finally understood what I was feeling all the time. And I was feeling a lot at the time. I was having difficulty knowing what my own feelings were. I had difficulty with just letting go of some heavy stuff and just feeling too much all the time, basically. And so I understood that what I was feeling wasn't necessarily mine. And that gave me so much freedom and also a lot of clarity around why I was feeling the way that I was feeling. So there are a lot of people who do this, who have the same thing. And I believe that more and more people will become more and more sensitive to this, because we become more and more open to the concept of energy. We become more and more open to be empathetic with other people. Like, I know the world is crazy right now, and you might not say that, but in my environment and the people that I talk to, everyone knows what I'm talking about now when it comes to energy or picking up on energy and staying in someone else's energy instead of their own. And so that makes me see that we are more open to the concept, right? And I think that this is because we need a change in this world, and that is to be more empathetic towards others. And so we are allowing ourselves to understand other people more, which has to do with how the other person is feeling. And everyone has their own energy. When you sit in the train next to someone who is very angry or very sad or just did not have a good day, you can pick up on that. When you walk into a room where people have been fighting, you can pick up on that. That is because everyone kind of sends out this energy. And everybody has this, everybody does this. And so that is what you can carry with you if you do not know how to stay in your own energy. So that is a little backstory on how I see it. As with everything in this podcast and in life, like, take what resonates, leave the rest. This is how I could make myself understand what is actually happening. So, when you are trying to not care about someone else's problems, or to not try to take on someone's energy, you are going to resist what is a natural response. So this is one of the things that I tried, because I had this friend who had a lot of shit going on, and I cared very deeply. And so I could also feel very heavy, dense energy around me, which wasn't mine, because what she was going through was not what I was going through, but I could still feel it. And it weighed me down a lot. And that sucks. Like, you want to care for someone, but it's just too much, right? So what do? I tried to close myself off from what she was feeling, but that was just ignoring the problem. And so the biggest tip that I want to give you, and this is not something that most people are feeling comfortable with, but for me it was the only thing that was true for me, and what actually helped me is to realize that when you are feeling someone else's stuff, it is also resonating with you in some way. Because if someone is going through something that you have not experienced, or that you know is a very shitty situation, you can still feel something about it, right? But if it's not your problem, and if you can really just think like they can handle it, they can solve this thing, or they can get through it, you don't have to carry it with you, right? So in my case, I was very worried about this person, and what they were going through also resonated with me on a level. So I could really easily see myself in that same position because I went through something similar. And that's why it stuck. That's why it was so heavy. Because what she was going through touched something within me. And so it was my responsibility to look at my own shit because it resonated with me, and look at that thing that hurt within me. They touched something in me, and so that was what I was feeling. Because otherwise I could trust that they could solve it themselves and look at it from another point of view, which was stepping outside of their life situation, right? If you haven't been through something similar, you can look at it and understand it and kind of have this compassion for someone and try to help them through it, but it doesn't really touch you personally that much. But if it resonates with you on some level, and sometimes it doesn't make sense. Sometimes someone has gone through something that you haven't gone through yourself, but you can feel it on a very energetic level because maybe it is a problem of society. Maybe it is something that has been going on in your lineage, in your family, and so you still carry some of it with you. For example, if you look at alcoholism or sexual assault or all these things, maybe slavery. Those things are carried with you in your DNA. That is the family ancestral trauma that we can all feel on a cell level. This is a topic for another time, but it's super interesting. I have been looking into lots of different problems within my family system and seeing how my ancestors relate with me and how I am repeating patterns and how my family is repeating patterns from the past, and I'm feeling fears from my ancestors that are not necessarily needed because I haven't been through something like it, but it still resonates with me. So sometimes things don't directly resonate with you, but you can still carry something with you that makes it hurt or that makes it stick. So it's very important that you keep an open mind and you ask yourself without judgment, why does this touch me? Why does this resonate with me? And to have compassion and curiosity and letting yourself see it, feel it, move through it. And this is the part where some people don't want to agree with me or they feel uncomfortable. But the only thing that helps me when this happens, when I stay in someone else's energy, is to ask myself, why does this hurt me? Why does this touch me? And then look at the pain. When you look at the pain, or when you go towards where it really hurts, and you look at it and you acknowledge it, it goes away. This is something that I have been talking about more on this podcast. I think it's episode 3, how to deal with difficult emotions. I tell you a lot more about this, how I go through difficult emotions, because these things can be very sensitive and you might not really want to dive deeper into these things because, like I said, it can be generational trauma. That's not easy. First and foremost, if it's something that you don't feel like you're capable of moving through alone, get help from a therapist or a coach or whatever, right? You don't have to do it alone. It doesn't have to be that heavy. And for me, most of the time, I can just look at it compassionately with a lot of love and curiosity, feel it and then let it go. And then I'm not connected to the other person's problem or fear or energy anymore. I can set it free. And that is what helps me the most to stay in my own energy. That's one. So just let that sink in for a little bit, because this gave me such a light bulb moment. Like, I can try to not care about someone but still feel their energy. So that doesn't work, right? I can try to close my heart. I can try to push them away so I do not have to feel how it resonates with me. That person is a mirror, and it's confronting and it sucks sometimes. But they are actually giving you a present, because when you acknowledge it within yourself, how it resonates, you can let it go. And it doesn't have to bother you anymore. Right? And this is something that I use to make myself feel less heavy. I used to have a lot of friends and try to solve all their problems because that would make me more likable. And so I would take on their energy and I would try to carry their problems for them, because in a way that felt like I was helping them, because they felt really uncomfortable, and I tried to make them feel a little less uncomfortable by trying to help them. But actually what I was doing is saying to them, oh, you're feeling so uncomfortable, you cannot carry it on your own, you're helpless, I'm feeling what you're feeling and that sucks, I don't want to feel it, let me help you so I do not have to feel what you're feeling. Because I was taking on their energy. And so what are you going to do? You are going to try and solve that uncomfortable feeling because you're feeling it. Does not have to do anything with that person. You are just getting something mirrored to you which feels uncomfortable. And then you are going to try and solve it for them because you are feeling uncomfortable. But actually what you're doing is saying, you cannot handle this on your own. Let me do it for you because I feel uncomfortable. Right? That doesn't work. Let me tell you, I've done this for years. It doesn't work. That friend might feel very grateful towards you, but they also feel helpless. They also don't feel like you fully trust them. They might get into victim mode. And they will get resentment if you are not going to help them or carry something for them, because now you have this codependent relationship where you're just like, okay, let me just help you carry your shit. And then when it is too much, when you are loving yourself more, when you are caring more for yourself and realizing that maybe I need to set some boundaries because I feel heavy all the time and they kind of expect me to be their therapist, or, you know, because you have taken on that role and you don't want to do that anymore, the friendship can break, or the relationship or the family dynamic, because you are taking care of yourself because you cannot carry something or solve something for someone. That's their job. And so you're kind of robbing them from the opportunity to learn that lesson, to go to where it hurts, to look at that pain, to see where something touches them, and to heal themselves. You're robbing them from that opportunity. And that sounds harsh, but that was what I was doing. And it didn't help them and it didn't help me. So I'm trying to give you kind of this wake-up call, like, hey, you don't have to do that anymore. And getting that permission to not try to solve people's problems anymore because you know that it doesn't help and they actually are not being helped either can be a relief. I know that it was for me. This is something that I've been doing within my own family. And one day my therapist said, you are fired. I was like, what do you mean I'm fired? Well, you're fired from the job of trying to make everyone happy and trying to solve everyone's problem and keeping the harmony in this family. You're fired. And it felt so weird to hear those words, but it resonated. And I felt how I kind of needed that position to feel valued within that dynamic. And I knew that I needed to stop doing it. I needed to get fired in order to care for myself, first and foremost, but to also let everybody else handle their own shit. Take responsibility, take accountability for what they were doing and how it influenced the family dynamic. That was not my job to fix that. Mind you, I am the middle child, and I've been doing this since I was really young. And so that is not my job. It has never been my job, but I felt that responsibility because sometimes a family dynamic can form that way where the child sees what is needed and steps up to keep the balance, to keep the harmony, to not feel uncomfortable, right? And so, yes, it feels uncomfortable to not do that anymore. I'm not saying you are. This is just something that I have been doing. And I think some people do this on a larger scale like me, and some people do this on a small scale. And so I'm trying to help you see, like, where are you trying to solve a problem where someone else is kind of needs to step up or feel their feelings or see what they need to do themselves. Where are you overcompensating? Where are you overgiving? Just to keep the peace, just to not feel uncomfortable, or maybe to protect yourself. It can be very valid. For me, it was kind of a coping mechanism. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done that, right? And that's why it's so important to keep that compassion and that curiosity, like, hey, what am I feeling? Why am I doing this? And then to tell yourself, like, it's okay to not be that person because they can handle it themselves. To give them the gift of healing. So that can be what is going on behind the scenes if you are feeling drained, if you are taking on other people's energy. Because I notice that a lot of people come to me with their life stories, their problems, even if I don't really know them, but that's because I am used to giving the space to people to listen, to understand, and then to carry some of those burdens to help them through it. That has been my pattern. It's not anymore because I know that they can do it themselves. And I don't need to do that. I need to take responsibility over my own feelings, look at those, and solve my own problems. But I can feel that other people can still kind of see that I am that kind of person and they still come to me, right? So even though I'm not doing it anymore, and yes, sometimes I slip into the pattern because it's something that I'm used to, right? So that is my job to confront and look at within myself. But if people come to me, it's for me to recognize, like, hey, where am I opening that door? And where am I uncomfortable so that I'm trying to not feel uncomfortable anymore? And how can I take care of myself? So people will feel it when you are empathetic, when you are wanting to help. They can smell it on you. I don't know what it is, but people can smell it on you. I have heard some really crazy stories the first time that I have met someone. Like, out of the blue, they tell me, like, their traumas or something really cool that happened. And I'm just like, I feel honored that you feel safe enough with me to tell me that. But, like, whoa, okay. Right? So take care of yourself. Also, you do not have to carry the responsibility to take care of everyone who wants to be taken care of, which is harsh, right? You need to set boundaries, especially when you are a sensitive, empathetic person, because they can smell it on you. And I've said this before, but it's so important to notice what is happening so you can take care of yourself, to be reflective, to see, like, hey, why do I feel this way, right? I think that is the most important question for us empaths and highly sensitive people. Like, why am I feeling this way? Is this mine? Am I touched somewhere? Does it resonate with me on an energetic level? What is it that I need to look at and feel and let go? Or is it someone else's? Right? Sometimes when it's someone else's energy that you're taking on, you have just been listening to someone or you're very invested into something. Like, I get really invested into books or TV shows, right? And then I feel a little bit weird after. And I'm like, why am I feeling this way? Oh, I'm still kind of in that story, right? then you can easily say to yourself, like, okay, that's not mine. I can let it go. And then I let it go. And then it's done. It can be as easy as that. If you try to do that and it still stays, ask yourself, where in me does this resonate? What is it that you want to show me? Feel it, let it go. Right? It's about letting it move through you and not running away from it. And sometimes the lesson repeats itself. And so it's very nice if you can just stay open to the lessons and stay open to look at it with curiosity and to learn and to love yourself and to just laugh about it sometimes, because it doesn't have to be that serious, right? We're all trying to do our best. We're all just trying to get through life the best way that we can, that we think is the best way. Sometimes we fuck up, sometimes we succeed, and it's just that. It's not that serious. And so if you resonate with something and it sticks and it doesn't go away, and you look at yourself with curiosity and you're just like, why the heck? What is it now? Okay, I see that something happened there. That feels a little bit weird. Okay, let me just sit with it for a few minutes or maybe 20 seconds. If you listen to episode 3, like if you are really feeling the emotion, if you get curious and get into it, stay with it. It can just take up to 20 seconds and then it's gone. So just feel it and then let it go. It can be that easy. So I hope that you're not feeling like, oh shit, it feels like so much work to really sit with this and to be curious and to learn these lessons, because I know that I can feel so much. Do I have to like sit with every little thing? Like, choose your battles, right? If you don't want to, you don't have to. If you want help from a coach or a therapist to do that, that's okay too. It's just about knowing that when something sticks, it resonates with you on some level. And so if you're curious, or if you want to let it go because it's just too much and you know that it isn't yours, but it just resonates somewhere, sit with it. Just be curious and then learn from it. Let it go. And maybe do it again and again and again. But you will feel lighter and lighter every time that you do this. And that's why I love doing this stuff, because I know that it will help me in the future. Because I know that it gives me resilience. It gives me insights into what triggers me. And then I know how to react. Then I know that it's not really such a big deal, but it's just something from my past, right? And so you can show up differently because you don't get that triggered, or you don't have to dissociate, or you don't have to run away from it, right? You can just be like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that still resonated with me, that still kind of makes me feel a certain type of way. And then let it go. And then you're done, right? Please let me know if you have any questions about this. I love talking about energy. I also have some other types of tips if you are very sensitive to energy, like some visualizations or stuff. So if you want to learn more about this, if you want the visualizations, I can maybe make a meditation for it. Let me know. You can always DM me through Insta. You can find me at Amber Aardenburg, just like my name on Insta. DM me. So I know if that is something that you would want to hear or listen to. I hope you're all doing well. Love you guys very much. So I will be on a little podcast break, I think for a month or so, but I will check in with you. You can always see the latest updates on my Insta. So if you want to follow me there, please just go there. I will link it in the show notes as well. Again, I truly hope that you are having a great summer or winter if you're on the other side of the world. And I hope to speak to you soon. Bye-bye.